What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. Last time out we were at the Singapore Grand Prix and I managed to bring home a few points from that race. After one point being as high as P2, we didn't really have the pace to contend with the others. In a straight line we were pretty slow, we were on the wrong setup and things didn't go amazingly well. But this time we are going to be at the Japanese Grand Prix and I am hoping that if all goes according to plan, we should have a strong race here. I'm targeting maybe a podium. I think we've recently upgraded the car to its maximum potential minus one more supplier upgrade, which we're waiting on. But this is usually around the time that they announce a regulation change, if memory serves me correctly. So I am hoping that that will be coming into play as well. Because I've been thinking about potentially switching my engine supplier in time for the following season to try and mount a championship challenge in season 4 of our My Team Career Mode. We are currently coming towards the end of season 3. We've only got, I think, 6 races left, including this one. And here it is. Regulation change is coming. Apparently it's mainly going to affect the aero package, but I wonder if it might affect other departments as well. So we've got plenty of resource points saved up. 10k in the bank should be enough, hopefully, to cover off a regulation change in just 1 or 2 departments. If it's 3 departments, we might actually struggle with the resource points we've got. But it was kind of an essential upgrade to try and do all of the upgrades to get ourselves on par with the other cars around us. You know, we actually have been struggling quite a lot this season, and our season sponsorship target, of course, is to reach 100 points, and we're currently sat at only 60 with, yeah, like I said, I think 6 or 7 races left to go. So it's actually not guaranteed that we're going to reach that sponsorship bonus. We're going to need to start getting some good races soon. Obviously, I've had a couple of podiums this season, which have contributed half of the points that we've got across, I think, 16 races in total. So, yeah, we haven't really looked that good this season. We currently find ourselves 11th in the driver's standings, 7th in the constructors. We haven't really taken that step forward I was hoping we would this season. If anything, we've taken a little bit of a step backwards, but I think we've just been outdeveloped comprehensively by the other teams around us. You know, practice in this weekend actually went okay. We had reasonable pace. We finished P4, of course, but I think we'll need to find a little bit more for qualifying if we want to be a podium contender. So we will see what we're capable of doing as we tick towards qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix. But yeah, I don't know. I think there is an opportunity for us to get at least the top 3 here. I think Russell and Verstappen have now reached that point where they've kind of elevated their game beyond everybody else. That's something that tends to happen towards the end of the season, is that you'll have, you know, a few drivers who are in contention for the World Championship and they'll be sort of head and shoulders above everyone else. And the main sort of protagonists for the championship this season are Russell and Verstappen. Perez and Bottas are still in with a shot as well, as Nico Hülkenberg is DNF'd from qualifying there, so disappointing for him. Not sure what happened, but in any case, we crossed the line to a 1:26.1. That is our first flying lap on a set of fresh softs, of course. And, well, I think we're going to have to do another lap if we want to make it through to Q2. In fact, we would have made it through in P11 had we not done another flying lap on a set of softs, but I wasn't going to take any risks. So we do improve by quite a lot as well. It's an almost 8/10 improvement as we cross the line, and that is definitely going to be good enough to see us through to Q2 in P3. So that's exactly where I want to be right now. If we can keep that up for the next 2 sessions, then I will be very pleased with the pace we're showing. George Russell was fastest in that session with a 1:24.8. I don't know if I'm going to be able to contend with him then. Verstappen was second, as predicted, and Hauger made it through in P11 as well, so a decent result from him. Then we had Joe, Albon, Fittipaldi, Tsunoda, De Vries, and of course Hülkenberg, who crashed. The 6 of them were eliminated from this session. It was Lawson and Sargent from the bottom 4 teams who made it through on this occasion, and yeah, a solid result from those guys. But we are now going to get into Q2, and hopefully we'll be able to make it through to Q3 without too many headaches. I'm going out on a used set of softs first time here, and we actually get caught in a little bit of traffic, but fortunately it didn't really hamper us that much, which is nice. And we do a 1:25.9 on that used set of softs. So that's a pretty strong lap on a used set of tyres, but we should be able to find a significant amount of improvement on a fresh set of softs, you would have to say. And you can see that by the time that we approach the final sector, we are over 5 tenths ahead of our personal best in this session. So, yeah, we should be improving. We're going to need to improve, actually, because we are in P11 at the moment. Looks like Hauger is going to be out with the session in P13, so disappointing for him. One day, I hope he'll be able to make Q3, but for us, we're improving by 8.5 tenths. I think that was a 125.1, and that was good enough to put us P3 again. So, yeah, we're looking like we're going to be gunning for P3 in this qualifying. We'll see whether we can do anything to challenge the top guys. Actually, George Russell down in P5. It was Verstappen and Leclerc who were ahead of me on this occasion. And the eliminations were Norris, Perez in the Red Bull again eliminated in Q2. Not what he would have wanted. Hauger, Magnussen, and Sargent and Lawson, as you might have expected, both eliminated there. But, well, actually, Hauger managed to outperform Magnussen, so I'm pretty happy with that. He's at least ahead of one of the guys around us. You would think that, honestly, the Aston Martins, having the fastest car on the grid, should be able to make it through Q3 every single time, but no, apparently not. Q3, we actually went out on a fresh set of softs first time around, and that was because they warned us that it was going to rain towards the end of the session, and I didn't want to take any chances, so I was like, I'll try and do my fast run first on this occasion, and then if I need to go out again, I'll just go on a used set of tyres. So we do a 125.0, it's our fastest lap of the weekend just about. But, you know, other people in both sessions have done 124s, so I would be surprised if this ended up being pole position. But actually, as we make our way to the end of our second run, it hadn't started raining yet, but nobody improved. So even though we are 4 tenths slower on this occasion, we're going to cross the line, and it's going to be pole position.
Yes! Excellent lap! We're all very, very pleased with that one. Nice work! Come on, I'll see you back in the pits.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Robinson, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
Well, 1/10 of a second separating myself, Piastri, and Verstappen there. Russell in a disappointing P6. He's not going to like that for his championship chances. But, well, that was a bit of a surprise there. I was not expecting that at all. Yeah, not much else to say. I assumed we'd be contending for sort of P3, P4, something like that. I wanted at least top 5, ideally top 3, but we've ended up going and getting pole position. We'll see now if we can convert this one into a victory. I don't think it's going to be easy, but maybe we have an outside chance of getting a win this season. I was thinking that you know, maybe we would have a chance to get some wins on the board now that we've actually got a fully upgraded car. But, yeah, I don't know. I definitely wasn't expecting Japan to be the place that we might be able to contend for it. But it's very difficult to overtake here. There's only really one overtaking opportunity. So we'll see if we can win as we get into the Japanese Grand Prix.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Issei Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today in the Japanese Grand Prix? Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Bottas, Leclerc, Russell, Ocon, Stroll, Gasly, Sainz, Norris, Perez, Hauger, Magnussen, Sargent, Liam Lawson, Joe, Albon, Fittipaldi, Tsunoda, De Vries, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Joined once again by Anthony Davidson for this one. And there's a lot of incidents on track recently for this driver. No one does that on purpose. It is part and parcel of racing, though.
It's not an ideal situation by any means. When you get into a bad run like that, there's always a risk of frustration creeping in, which can cause more mistakes and locks you into this vicious cycle. Hopefully today they can get through turn 1 cleanly and stay calm for the rest of the race.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Yep, so obviously I think that comment about incidents may have been in reference to the incident in the final few corners that I had with Esteban Ocon in the previous race. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a bit more of a straightforward race than we had in Singapore. I was struggling for pace quite a lot there and definitely was fighting quite hard to keep the cars behind me that were behind me. So yeah, we this time I want to just have a comfortable race. I don't need to necessarily break away from the pack, but if I can just keep them behind me without too much threat, that would be the ideal scenario here. We actually do have quite a long time to wait before the grid lines up, so yeah, at this point I'm just stalling while we wait for Hulkenberg to take the final grid slot, and eventually he does so, and we can get underway as we get ready for the lights to come on. And the lights go out, and we've had a good getaway. We are on equal or faster tyres than everybody around us, so there shouldn't be too much to worry about here. And by the time we get through turn 1, we are still in the lead of the Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri currently running in second, from Verstappen, Leclerc and Russell behind us. I think Bottas has taken a grid penalty by the looks of things, so because he initially qualified P4 if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he finds himself all the way down in about P14, 15, that kind of position. So yeah, we're looking good at the moment, looking like we might be able to hold on to this victory. For those of you who keep up with all the videos I post on this channel, you'll know I did actually do a race around here at the weekend for the Streamers & Co VRL, which is, I'm glad to say, finally back after a bit of time away between Season 1 and Season 2. And if you haven't checked that out, I definitely would recommend going and watching that video, because it was pretty fun to record, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Getting into the second sector now and towards the final sector of the first lap, you can see that we are pretty comfortably leading at the moment. I devised a strategy here which allowed me to burn a reasonable amount of battery to allow myself to sort of stay ahead of the cars behind without overusing my battery. That's definitely been the biggest problem this season, in my opinion, is that I have just, in order to stay competitive with everybody else, I've had to overuse the battery. I guess probably because they had more battery power upgrades than I had, but now that isn't really the case anymore. I think that we should be on a slightly more even footing with these guys. You know, we've got similar sort of engine power, similar aero package, similar battery power, similar chassis, all that kind of thing. The performance should be roughly equal to these guys. So in terms of them getting ahead of me, if you watched my league video, you might remember me saying that I was running a much lower downforce setup than the majority of people, it seemed, and so I had significantly better straight line speed. And what that means is that these guys, even with the DRS and ERS, are going to have a real task of it if they want to try and overtake me. But that's not going to stop Piastri from going for it here, and because he's pinched the inside there, he actually ends up backing out of the move. And well, if that had been a human player, I would wage to say he probably wouldn't have done that. But you know, you take whatever advantage you can get when it comes to career mode. And there's a red flag. A red flag has been called. I'm not sure what that was for. It seems like there is something that happened at the hairpin involving Bottas and one of the Alfa Romeos, I think, possibly. So yeah, I'm not sure what that was about, but yeah, red flag called, and now they're suggesting that I go onto the hard compound tyres to the end of the race, which I think is a pretty decent strategy to go for. I imagine that's what most people will be doing, apart from Verstappen, of course. And the lights come on once again. And the lights go out. Yeah, Verstappen, of course, started on those hard compound tyres beforehand, so now he's had to switch to a set of mediums, and I'd wage to say he's probably going to have to box again in this race. Not on the right strategy for a red flag being called, but he does manage to at least jump Piastri, who had a terrible start by the looks of things. He's been jumped by Leclerc and Stroll. He's all the way down in P5 now. So yeah, a really disappointing start for Piastri, who was keeping me honest through that first stint. And now we're just going to try and hold on to this again if we can. Verstappen on those medium compound tyres, he's definitely going to be more of a threat than Piastri was on that opening lap, because he is on a faster set of tyres, which means he's going to be no doubt hounding me a little bit more, a little bit faster through the corners, maybe getting slightly better exits from the corners as well. And I don't get the best of exits from these corners typically anyway, so I'm going to have to be quite strategic about this, use the battery well, and also try and use the tyres to their maximum potential without overusing them, which is something that I definitely am capable of doing, and I think definitely did do to an extent in Singapore. I was overheating the tyres quite a lot. Max Verstappen seems to have a lot more grip than me out of the spoon curve, and I think he's actually going to go for a move into 130R, and he does exactly that. And we actually have to back out a little bit there to avoid going into the back of him. But we don't go into the back of him, and then he locks up into the chicane, and that allows us to sneak up the inside of him and switch to the outside for the exit of the chicane, and somehow we have snatched P1 back from him, despite the fact that it looked like it was a pretty foregone conclusion that Max Verstappen was going to be overtaking us there. We say no, and we make our way back into the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix, and hopefully we will be able to hold on to this for the remainder of the race now. Lap 14 into 15 now, and we are not coming under any more pressure from Max Verstappen since that initial attack. I imagine that lock-up probably took a little bit of life out of his tyres. Maybe it was just enough life that it meant that he couldn't challenge me on the hard compound tyres now. And, well, it's only going to swing further and further in my favour as the race progresses, because obviously the medium tyres will wear out at a faster rate than the hard compound tyres. And I'd wager to say that even if he does box towards the end onto maybe a set of softs, he just probably won't have that pace to catch 20 seconds up to me. So he really needs to overtake me sooner rather than later as we make our way onto lap 16 now. We are just holding on to this nice and easily. Not really anything that we have to worry about in this moment. But, you know, anything can change, and quite often things do change. You can see there's a yellow flag on track now. I don't know who that's for. It looks like maybe one of the Williamses is going slow there as he's being overtaken by quite a few people. And, yeah, safety car has been deployed. So I don't know whether there was a bigger incident there. It looks like a couple people are actually out of the session there. And there's another red flag. It's a second red flag. I don't know what's happened there. I imagine we'll find out what's going to be the case in just a second. But yeah, here we go. So it's Fittipaldi was retiring due to some kind of mechanical problem, maybe gearbox related, not sure. Can't see any smoke coming out the back of his car, so he's going really slowly on track. And then all of a sudden he swerves back onto the racing line, straight into the path of Nico Hülkenberg there. Carbon fibre smashes all across the track, and no wonder there was a red flag for that. That's going to be a nightmare to clean up, right by the pit lane as well. Have to bring everyone back in. And yeah, second red flag. We're going to be going back onto another set of mediums towards the end of the Grand Prix. Should be nice and straightforward. We can push very, very hard on those, and we'll get ready for the lights to come on for the third time. And the lights go out, and we've had another good getaway. But if you look at the leaderboard, you can see that everyone is on soft compound tyres except me. I am the only person who opted for a set of mediums, and maybe, just maybe, there might be some more stresses to deal with. I can't imagine that a set of soft compound tyres are going to just do 10 laps like that, though. I feel like it's going to be a lot of management towards the end. And if we can hold off maybe an initial onslaught from the likes of Leclerc and Piastri, who's worked his way up past Verstappen. Verstappen was the one with the bad start this time, actually, as Leclerc attacks us into the Degners, but we do manage to hold on to the position. Yeah, Verstappen had the bad start on this occasion, so he's down in P4. It's Leclerc now in P2, and Piastri has worked his way back up to P3, Stroll down to P5, and I think it's Russell just behind him. So, yeah, it's a bit of a difficult situation for us, but we've managed to survive the initial sort of strength phase of the soft compound tyres, the position where they're going to be really, really strong. And I'm hoping now that we should just be able to hold on from Leclerc without any real headaches as we make our way onto, this is lap 22 now, only about 5 laps left to go. So if we can just keep pushing, keep managing that battery to the levels that we have been over the course of this race, we should be absolutely fine to hold on for the victory here in Japan. Only 5 laps left to go now, and I think the hardest part of this race might be behind us at this point. We never really seem to be on the right tyres at the right time, but we managed to make it work irrespective of that fact. It wasn't too big of a problem, and yeah, we only have a couple laps left to go now as we make our way onto lap 26, and you can see that there are still a few tenths between myself and Leclerc, even at the end of the DRS zones. So as long as I just keep pushing on these tyres, don't do anything foolish, we should be absolutely fine here. Those red flags did not play into our favour, but they also didn't really hinder us. It was just a case of getting a good start, which I managed to do on both occasions, and yeah, we held on nicely. So we make our way onto the final lap of the Grand Prix. Leclerc wasn't really anywhere near us in that DRS zone, definitely didn't look like he was going to mount much of a challenge. But through the S's there, it was actually quite slow, and he manages to close the gap down to almost just 1/10 of a second at times. But despite that, you know, we've got plenty of battery saved up here. You can see we were at 50% battery on the run up to 130R. So even burning all this battery, Leclerc is not able to catch us, and we should be absolutely fine. Just the final chicane, unless he gets us on the line now, we should be absolutely fine. And we round the final few corners, and I think it is going to be a victory here at the Japanese Grand Prix, our first win of the season. Thank God.
And talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of the race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium.
After a long and grueling season, 17 races have passed us by in Season 3, and finally we stand on the top step of the podium again. You might remember at the end of Season 2, we had a number of victories to close off the season. I think we ended up getting 3 wins last season, if I remember correctly, including 2 towards the end of the season. And finally, we've added to our win tally here in Japan, and what a way to do it.
Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. So let's review the drivers' standings. Let's focus on driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
I have to give it to Robinson.
Let's move on to the constructors. Red Bull take over as championship leaders. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Well, we've made some gains in the Drivers' Championship, which Max Verstappen has also made some gains in, actually, and he extends his lead over George Russell by 4 points compared to what it was before, which I guess is in no small part due to the fact that that Verstappen was, of course, a couple positions ahead of him. I think it was 4th and 6th for Verstappen and Russell, respectively, there. But yeah, we've worked our way up 2 positions in the Drivers as well. We've made our way ahead of... I think it was Gasly and... Was it Sainz? Gasly and Sainz we got ahead of there? I can't remember. But we're looking pretty good to maybe try and challenge Alpine for P6 in the Constructors' Championship. I don't think we're going to be making it any further than that, if I had to guess. I think that it will be P6 only. I think there's 80 points separating us and Aston Martin, so I don't really think that that's going to be possible for us to overcome in just 6 more races? I think I said there were 6 races including this one left. I think it's actually 7. I'll see if I can figure out what they are. I know that I think Qatar is not on the calendar this year, if I remember correctly. But I think the rest of the races that usually come after this one will be. So we've got USA, Mexico, Brazil, Portugal, Las Vegas, Abu Dhabi, something like that. And yeah, those will be the last 6 races on the calendar, not necessarily in that order, but yeah, generally speaking, that is going to be the order that follows. And yeah, it was just a really strong race from us. This was about the only time that we came under any kind of pressure. You can see here that Max Verstappen obviously got ahead of us, but then he locked up and threw away any chance he had of winning this Grand Prix. Honestly, I think if that second red flag had still happened, I probably would have jumped him off the start, because I am just OP on the starts in this game. They still haven't really changed that, despite the fact that we're running on almost 100 difficulty. For some reason, I can just get absolutely busted starts compared to the AI, which is a little bit frustrating, because it just kind of means that, you know, unless I start way down the order, I'm probably going to be leading the Grand Prix into the first corner. But yeah, we didn't really have to worry about anything here. We're only 15 points away in the constructors now from meeting our sponsorship obligation We're at 85 points, 84 for myself, 1 for Dennis Hauger, of course. I'm hoping that he can score a few more by the end of the season, also maybe log a few more Q3 appearances. I think that, if I remember correctly from last season, we looked pretty good in COTA, so maybe he'll be able to get a good result there. I'm actually not looking forward to COTA that much, because I've struggled there in the past. Especially in that S's section. With a fully upgraded car, the S's are not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, I think that I'm going to have a bit of a task on my hands to try and replicate this victory once again in COTA. I also don't want to jinx it, but I think we are a little bit overdue a mechanical failure. I can't remember the last time we had one. It was a while ago, though. So, yeah, I think that we may have some problems on our hands in the coming races. But nonetheless, I'm still excited to hopefully meet that sponsorship target, and that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.